I used to think that old things just had charm, that every antique carried a story, sure, but nothing more than creaky wood and faded memories. I don't think that way anymore. This is the story of the music box, a small, beautiful thing that nearly destroyed my family. It started the day we moved into the new house. I say new, but it was actually built in the 1920s, a two-story craftsman on the edge of town, surrounded by overgrown gardens and gnarly old trees. We got it cheap. Too cheap, my dad said, but my mum just called it a steal. I was 14 and more annoyed than excited. Moving meant leaving friends behind, starting over in a place where I didn't know anyone. But as soon as we arrived, I sensed something was off. The house felt heavy somehow, like the air itself was thicker, pressing in on you. We spent the first afternoon unpacking boxes and arguing over who got which bedroom. My little sister Grace made a beeline for the attic, enchanted by the idea of her own secret hideout. Look what I found. She came down that evening holding a wooden music box. It was beautiful. Dark, polished wood with delicate carvings of roses and vines curling across the lid. The winding key was tarnished brass, shaped like a little flower. None of us had ever seen it before. It certainly hadn't been in our stuff. But when Grace opened it, the soft notes of a lullaby tinkled out, sweet, almost hypnotic. Mum just smiled. What a lovely old thing. We should keep it. If only we'd left it in the attic. The first night, it was just a sound. I woke up at 2:43 a.m. There, drifting through the dark hallways, was the unmistakable melody of the music box. Light, sweet, winding its way through the floorboards. I thought maybe Grace was playing with it, unable to sleep in her new room. But in the morning, she was confused and a little scared. It wasn't me, she insisted. I was asleep all night. The box is in my closet. It's still closed. The same thing happened the next night and the next. Always at 2:43 a.m., the music would play for exactly 3 minutes, echoing faintly through the house. After the first week, it wasn't just the music. Doors that were closed the night before would stand open. Toys appeared in the hallway. My mother's favorite mug shattered on the kitchen floor without explanation. Dad started to get angry. This is just old house stuff. Pipes settling wood, drafts. But none of his explanations made sense. None of it explained the icy chill that swept through the rooms after midnight, or why Grace started talking to someone in whispers when she thought nobody was listening. One morning, I found Grace sitting on her bed, the music box open on her lap. Her eyes looked strange, glassy, distant. I asked who she was talking to. She shook her head, lips pressed tight, then finally whispered, "The lady in the walls." That night, I lay awake, heart thundering, listening for the music box. 2:43 a.m. The melody started, as always, but this time it was louder. It sounded like it was right outside my door. I crept out into the hallway. That's when I saw her. A shadow. Tall. Impossibly thin. Standing at the end of the hallway. Just out of reach of the nightlight's glow. Her head tilted as if listening to the song. Long, tangled hair. A dress that looked like it belonged in another century. She turned to look at me. Her eyes were sunken, hollow, and her mouth twisted into a sad smile. I ran back to my room and hid under the covers, shaking. The next day, I tried to convince myself it was just a dream. But Grace was quieter than usual. clutching the music box like a lifeline. Over breakfast, my mum said she'd found water pooled in the hallway, even though there hadn't been any rain. The air smelled sweet and rotten, like wilted flowers left too long in a vase. Dad called a locksmith to check the doors and windows. Probably just a break-in. This is an old house. These things happen. But nothing had been stolen. Nothing was broken. And that night, the music played again. Softer, slower, almost mournful. I started researching the house at the local library. Old newspapers, property records, even a faded, yellowed diary I found tucked behind the stacks. The house had a history. A girl named Eleanor lived here in the 1930s. She was gifted a music box for her 7th birthday. She was described as bright, happy, but troubled after her mother's sudden death. Eleanor disappeared in 1936, the diary said. Some said she ran away. Others whispered that she'd been taken by the house. From then on, things grew worse. Grace's moods turned volatile. One minute she was the same little sister I'd always known. The next, she'd snap at us, her voice eerily adult. Sometimes, she would stare at nothing for minutes at a time, humming the lullaby from the music box. At night, the music was louder, closer. Doors slammed by themselves. The shadowy woman began appearing more frequently, always standing near Grace's room, always listening to the music. I tried to get rid of the music box, locked it in the shed, buried it in the backyard, even tried to smash it with a hammer. Each time, it would reappear on Grace's bedside table, perfectly intact. I began to dream of Eleanor. She would sit at the foot of my bed, pale and weeping, begging me to listen to her song. Every night, I woke up drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. One night, my mother woke up screaming, convinced someone was standing over her bed, stroking her hair with icy fingers. Dad refused to believe any of it. But even he started sleeping with a flashlight and a baseball bat within reach. The breaking point came one stormy night in late October. Lightning flashed outside, rain beating against the windows. At 2:43 a.m., the music box played louder than ever, so loud the walls seemed to vibrate. Grace was gone from her bed. The box was open, the melody echoing. We searched the house in a panic, calling her name. In the attic, we found her. She was standing in the corner, facing the wall, music box in her hands, humming along with the melody. The shadow woman stood behind her, looming, arms outstretched. I screamed for my parents. The lights flickered, the temperature dropped until I could see my breath. My mother rushed forward, grabbing Grace. As soon as she touched her, the music box slammed shut and the shadow dissolved, leaving only the faint scent of old flowers in the cold attic air. Grace collapsed into my mother's arms, sobbing. We knew we couldn't stay. The next day, my mum contacted a local priest. He came to the house, blessing every room, sprinkling holy water in the corners, chanting prayers in Latin. When he got to Grace's room, the music box began to play by itself. The priest took the box in his hands, prayed over it, and wrapped it in a white cloth. After that, the house felt lighter, less oppressive. Grace never spoke of the shadow woman again. The music box was locked away in the church's archives. We moved out 6 months later, unable to shake the feeling that something still lingered in that old house. Sometimes, late at night, I dream of that song, the lullaby from the music box. It plays softly, over and over, as if trying to tell me something I'll never understand. Once, after we'd moved, Grace came into my room holding a different music box, a cheap plastic one she'd gotten as a gift. But she was crying, terrified. She said she heard the old melody playing from her closet, even though the antique box was gone forever. I tried to comfort her, but inside I wondered if some songs, never truly leave. I've since grown up and left home. I live in a new city now, in an apartment with bare, modern walls and no history. But every so often, if I'm alone and the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear that music drifting in from another room. Soft, sweet, and full of secrets. So if you ever find an old music box in a forgotten attic, think twice before you open it. Some songs are meant to be left unsung. Do you own a music box? Let us know in the comments. I remember my nan had one when I was younger, and it used to play on its own sometimes. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This has been Truth is Terror. Sleep well.